It is unthinkable that such horrors should be repeated.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this is bouncing off a video that Mark's done from Book Time with Elvis, and it's quite an interesting video to do. It's not a tag, I don't think I think he did kind of invite people to do it, but he didn't do it as a tag necessarily. And it's kind of a comment on the international political situation and how fractious it is at the moment and how scary everything is at the moment. But it's kind of a light-hearted look at it, because it's saying, okay, if you're in a bunker and you are trying to avoid a nuclear war and you are stuck down there with 12 books, what books would you choose? So I've already done a Desert Island Books video with Sean, because Sean Lee Standfast he's currently brought it back in. He's currently doing the Desert Island Books series. I did cover a similar idea, but I've done it slightly differently, because I think there's some ways that being on a desert island will be different to being in a bunker, knowing everything that was going on above me on land or whatever. So because of that, there are some differences, and there's some differences because I did the other one a while ago. There is I think there's one, maybe two. I think there's probably only one that's the same as the Desert Island Books one. So hopefully I am successfully doing this without... Oh, there might be two, actually. Yeah, there might be two. But these are 12 books that I would take with me during the apocalypse into the bunker. And for various reasons, they touch on lots of things that would keep me busy in a more literature sense. But there's also some things that would connect me to the life I'm leaving behind in the bunker. So, on that note, something I would be leaving behind is TV. And what would be really nice is if I kept my Twilight Zone companion, which is an absolutely amazing book. I've read it cover to cover many, many times, and I've recently used it for my Twilight Zone deep dive. It's still carrying on. There's still a bunch of them to appear on the channel. But that would make me smile, and it would absolutely take me into those episodes. It's a very it's vivid enough for me to relive the episodes while I'm reading this book. So Twilight Zone Companion by Mark Scott Zicree, absolutely brilliant. And if you're curious, me and Dave managed to get Mark Scott Zicree on our ongoing fortnightly live show, Is This Thing On, which was very special, and we talked about the show then. So that's the first thing I've chosen. Another thing, so clearly, if we are in a bunker avoiding nuclear war, then there's clearly going to be this sense that humanity has gone down a horrible hole, and you know, what's happened to humanity kind of thing. You know, are we just going to be feeling negative about it? Are we going to be despondent about human nature? And the one thing that would probably keep me positive about human nature and about humanity, about humans, and about people is this book, the biography of Jim Henson. It's a brilliant book that I would definitely recommend. Brian J. Jones wrote it, and it's really, really good, and it would just make me smile. It would make me reaffirm the idea that there can be good people. There can be people that have got the good of the world in their minds and want to make a positive contribution to society, and he absolutely did. He's my all-time hero, but ultimately the important thing is this book will help me in that period. Can you see how that is clearly the bottom bit, because it's all nice and lovely, and then this bit is where the dust has appeared. But anyway, regardless of that, this is a really lovely book, and that would be my second choice. My third choice is one of my favourite novels, but it's also a novel that I think I can reread, and there's so much great detail in it. I think it would be a really nice thing to relive in this bunker. So there's not a lot. There's a lot of short stories and stuff. Anyway, ignore the other books for a minute. Claire North's Touch. So I've championed her a lot on the channel. Out of all of her books, I think this is the one that's most rereadable for me personally. And the way that she goes into detail when this being is going from body to body, and how that changes their own sense of their senses, how they're feeling, and their sense of taste, and their sense of their own body, and what they can see. All this sort of stuff is fantastic. So this is about an entity that can go from body to body, and they're basically on the run, but then after a while they have to figure out who is trying to murder them. It's really good, really, really good. So I've only read it once actually, so yeah, I will definitely take it with me because I love it and I think it's very rereadable. Another thing that I think is very rereadable, and I've read it many times, and I'm going to read the second book again as well. And I've got different copies of this, but this is the one I've decided to use for this video, and that's Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. And this particular book, if we're going with what's in, with the actual physical book itself, this one has Through the Looking Glass on it as well. So many copies of Alice in Wonderland, because it's so short, have looking through the Looking Glass on it as well. So yes, the two books of Alice's Adventures I would take with me as well as another option, and I would just treasure this. I mean, there's so many choice lines in this, just make you smile. It's just beautifully written. Plays with language a lot. Plays with the imagination a lot. It'll keep my imagination very lively, and just a glorious book. So Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Okay, let's look at some three big names in my reading, and three big books. So this is Harlan Ellison's 50-year retrospective. So this is a repeat from the Desert Island books from Sean. It's enormous. It's 1,200 pages, 1,230 pages. It's massive, and it's got loads and loads of classic things that Ellison has written. So all of the short stories you would expect to read, plus all his lots of his non-fiction, and it's an absolutely amazing book. So the Essential Ellison, Harlan Ellison, the 50-year retrospective. I've got the 35-year retrospective over there as well, but I'll clearly take the bigger one. So that would be one I would take. I have to get a box big enough. In a similar way, I would want to have a good representation of this man, and this is probably the best representation of this man. It's not got everything. You can't have everything. As Stephen Wright said, you can't have everything. Where would you put it? And there's the stories of Ray Bradbury. This is part of the Everyman series, Everyman's Library. So it's fantastic. It's got 70-odd stories in it. It's really, really good. Loads of his most important ones. I would thoroughly recommend this. If you're going to buy one big Ray Bradbury book, get this one. I would recommend you buy all of them. But I don't want to be anywhere without a Ray Bradbury collection. And clearly this is a good one to go for because it's got so many stories. So the stories of Ray Bradbury, Everyman's Library would be another option for me. I'm going to cheat now. So this is one thing, but it's not really a book. It's two books. So it's only a little cheat because it's two books, but they're compendiums. So I haven't even opened this because it just feels really special. I don't want to open it. But this is Ursula K. Le Guin's Hainish novels. So this is a really lovely box set of two books, and within those books, it contains loads of these novels. Yeah, can you see that? So Buchanan's World, which is the first one, is followed by Planet of Exile and City of Illusions, and then you've got Left Hand of Darkness, The Dispossessed. The Word for World is Forest, which was the first book I ever read by her. Then 5 Ways to Forgiveness, The Telling, and then some short stories as well that are also set in the Hainish cycle as well. So a little bit of a cheat because it's two books, but it's one box. And I don't know, I feel like I'm going to forgive myself for treating it as one book. I'm going to grab it as if it's a book and stick it in the box that I'm taking to the apocalypse. Okay. And as I've cheated, I'm now going to jump to the two books that I don't have with me I still own them, but I don't know where they are. I'm not going to go shuffling around the loft to try and find them. But one of them is The Pig That Wants to Be Eaten. And this book is lots of different thought experiments that I think will keep me thinking. It'll keep my philosophical brain working, whirring. It's a really good, I really recommend this book. I've mentioned it, like, I don't know, probably haven't mentioned it for a few years, but I did mention it a couple of times in my early period of my channel. But it's a fantastic book, The Pig That Wants to Be Eaten. Definitely recommend it if you are someone that wants to think about ethics and why we make decisions we make and what is right and wrong, all that kind of thing. So that's a really good book. And then another one I don't have with me is basically the idea that I wouldn't really want to abandon politics when I'm down there. So clearly I would need lots of escapist stuff, but I would still want to stay grounded. So I thought I'd like to take one of the political books that mean a lot to me, and I've gone for No Gods, No Masters, which is a collection of anarchist writing. So there's really like loads and loads of big names from the early period of when anarchism was becoming a thing in the early 20th century, building up to probably, I think this book is mostly from sort of 1900s to 1930s, 1940s, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a fantastic book. And it's a book I treasure a lot. But yeah, it's just an aspect of my personality. I'd want to stay fresh while I'm in the bunker. So No Gods, No Monsters, the anarchist collection. So going back to the physical books, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. As you probably know, if you've heard this being talked about on BookTube, this is a feel-good book. It's a very positive book about the future. It's a positive book about humanity, although there's lots of aliens in this that aren't human, but every species has a positive approach to the future and to the other people that are on the ship. There's a little bit of conflict between the people on the ship, but it's ultimately a very cozy read, and it's brilliantly written. It's more like a fascination thing rather than a conflict thing. So you are intrigued by what happens to these aliens and these characters, but it's not through conflict. It's very cleverly written. It's not through conflict. It's just through how well she paints these people and these conversations that they have and these decisions they have to make. So yeah, the Long Way to a Small Angry Planet I would take with me as well. And I would also take with me the complete fairy tales of the Brothers Grimm. So these would probably keep me quite happy if I just wanted to read a short, very, very short story. And it'd be like, you know, some friendly uncle is reading me a bedtime story. So the Brothers Grimm, the complete fairy tales. This is a really lovely edition by Routledge. I love Routledge books. I love their design and that. I used to have a lot more actually, but I am trying to thin my collection, so it's not the end of the world that I haven't got tons and tons of these things, but I do think they're lovely things. So this is the complete fairy tales from Brothers Grimm, so I would take that with me. And one last thing, I wanted to take something that would keep my cartoonist love in the bunker as well. So I'm not going to take Gary Larson's Far Side, but I was tempted. So this is not one I'm taking, but I wanted to show it to you as something that almost got in the 12. If I could quickly slip it in, if I had enough time to grab a 13th, then I would take it. But this book, the complete cartoons of the New Yorker, is phenomenal. So there is actually a DVD-ROM with it. So I don't know if you'd get a DVD-ROM in the bunker or not, maybe. If I had that, there'd be 70,363 cartoons on the DVD-ROM, which is pretty cool. But it is a very big collection anyway of the New Yorker cartoonists. And even though I would definitely, if I couldn't have it, I'd definitely miss Gary Larson, I would get lots of Charles Addams in here and lots of other fantastic New Yorker cartoonists. So there we are. Some predictable things in there, but maybe some other things that you may not have expected. And I would take those to the apocalypse. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope that this almost willful desire for it from some people gets thwarted by some kind of democratic process or from a huge swell of opinion that overwhelms these idiots and warmongers. It's a strange time. Please find everything you can do to stay happy and always stay curious.
Paint me a picture of what it's like to